He's played advantage, and here is Anthony, and he's marked his debut with a goal.
Held down my crown for a decade and a half. Now I'm about to give your grimy ass a bloodbath.
It's Marcus Rashford, and Man United have the lead again.
Career be over next year, yeah, I said it. Look over your shoulder, that's where you're headed.
And he uses Marcus Rashford, and that could be that for Arsenal.
You better battle number 2, cause number 1 got a title locked down, son. It's over, slam dunk, game over. Can I buzz? Stay in your place. Can I buzz? Can I buzz?
You're all about to witness a monumental throwdown.
Hello and welcome back everyone to another episode of FPL Bros. This is episode 75 and I hope you're all doing okay out there. How are you doing?
Doing well.
Wonderful. Okay, yeah, so an awful lot has gone on since the last episode. Always seems to be like that. But what we're going to do is just look at how we did over Game Week 6, which feels like a long time ago. Obviously there was no Game Week 7, and then look at what we might be doing for Game Week 8, which for me is definitely panic, but you'll probably set up a bit better.
Well, I hope so.
Okay then. Before we get started, don't forget to hit like, don't forget to hit subscribe. It's totally free. You're getting all this for nothing. It's costing you absolutely nothing. So a like and a subscribe, we'd be very grateful. It'd really help us out.
You're all about to witness a monumental throwdown.
All right then. So yeah, Game Week 6 scores. Game Week 6. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So I've had a horrible season so far. If you haven't listened to any of the pods so far, if you go back, you'll hear me talking a lot of misery. So yeah, I had a horrible week so far. So I decided to actually do my wild card in Game Week 6. And it couldn't have gone any worse, to be honest. So I wildcarded and I brought in quite decent players, to be fair, quite decent template players, but I ended up only scoring 37, which considering an average of 45 is pretty abysmal. It was quite a tough week.
Yeah.
Because there was barely any clean sheet. All of the main players didn't score, apart from Haaland, which I captained. So that was my saving grace. If I didn't have Haaland as a captain, or if I didn't have him in my team, I could have easily gotten like a 12 or 15. Like it was that bad. It was that bad.
Yeah. I can't help feeling though that the average of 45 and anybody who would have smashed that average, it was probably people who are like really low down in the rankings. But maybe and they just happen to have a good week because they happen to have the players who don't normally score but happen to score this week, while everybody else had the big players who didn't score. But then maybe I'm just deluding myself.
It's a difficult one. It is a difficult one. It was a funny week.
Yeah. You could tell when all the main teams just didn't do as well as they thought they would, that it was probably going to be bad for a lot of people. Yeah. Okay. I did worse. I got 32 points. I captained Salah because I honestly thought that he would get something against Everton, and I didn't captain Haaland, and because I was convinced he wasn't even going to start. No, that was the week before. Sorry. No, I don't know why. I don't know. I just felt like I kind of thought he wasn't going to start. I thought, well, he started 2 in a row now, and he's been on the pitch for a long time. I mean, they only took him off for the last. I think they had who did they have midweek? They scored 4 goals, didn't they, against the team in Europe, and Haaland was on for pretty much most of the game. And I thought, well, now he's definitely getting his rest now. You know, against Aston Villa, he doesn't need to play. Pep doesn't need to play him. But that just goes to show. I mean, at the best of times, nobody knows what a manager's thinking, and then on top of that, you've got to second guess Pep Guardiola. It's always a fool's errand. Yeah. So yeah, and then the only other person on my team who did anything was Gross. So yeah, it was bad. It was really bad, and yeah. You just want to forget about it. So let's move on and forget about it.
Yes, please.
Okay, then.
You're all about to witness a monumental throwdown.
So we have Game Week 8 coming up. For those of you who don't know, 3 games have actually been cancelled. Brighton and Crystal Palace was cancelled, but that was because of a train strike. And then the other games to be cancelled was Liverpool and Chelsea, and what was the third one that got cancelled? Oh, Leeds and Man United. And our understanding is that this is down to policing issues. Basically, with everything that's going on, the police in those 2 areas have said we are not going to have enough police to be on duty for football games. So we've only got 7 games, and quite a few people like myself will have players who aren't playing. So, generally speaking, do you think you're set up all right for Game Week 8, or you're going to have to do something drastic like I am?
No, I haven't got if I'm firstly, if I'm to do anything, then it won't be drastic. Because I've got 2 free transfers.
Okay.
I got a transfer last week, and I've got a transfer this week. So
Yeah.
I've got 2. So if I had to make a move, it wouldn't kill me. I've got 3 blanks. I've got James, Salah, and Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
So that means I've only got 2 defenders, and then I've got Dunk, who's also blanking. So that would be bar 1 defender. I've got a squad of playing players. To be fair, with fixtures.
No.
So I don't actually have to do too much. I think I'm definitely gonna make moves. It's just wondering what I'm gonna do, because I could. I mean, we spoke about this off air, but because I've got Salah, I could do a straight swap to KDB.
Yeah.
And then have a bit of money and then just try and find a decent 4.5 defender to replace with Dunk, and that'll be my 2 free transfers.
Yeah.
And I've got quite a solid team with one sub, which is for safety. But I don't think I have to use the sub. But do you know what I mean? Just for safety.
Well,
But,
no, that's yeah.
So I think that might be something I might consider doing, because I can, even though there is a lot of postponed fixtures, you just never know what can happen. Someone could just in training pull up, sore leg. That's it. They're off the team, and then suddenly you've just got another 0.
There's always that. It's true. There's always that. But no, I mean, good on you. I mean, apart from the millions and millions of people who won't even realise what's going on, and would have left the captain's armband on Salah, for example. Every week there's somebody who does that when Liverpool aren't playing or Salah is injured or something. You just think, why? And I, on the other hand, I'm definitely wildcarding. I've got 7 players who won't be playing, and I've only got two free transfers. So even if I were to take a -4, I'd still be short. And I would just like to say, if anybody's in the same position, you don't necessarily have to wildcard if you take some hits, because sometimes it's not about having enough players, but it's about having the ones who are going to score you points. You don't have to fill your team full of people who are going to get you 1s and 2s. You really don't. If you're happy just to make a few changes, you can get some big hitters, some reliable players who you're looking at, 5s, 6s, 7s most of the time, and then not worry about the blanks in your team. But I am going to wildcard, and I have no idea what I'm going to do. Like you alluded to, because I think Salah's coming out, but I'm thinking of either replacing him with KDB or perhaps Harry Kane. The only thing I'm certainly going to do is bring in Trippier and Mitrovic. Those are dead certs, but I'm really haven't thought much about the rest. I might bring in Nick Pope as well. I'm thinking it might be time to get off Sanchez, but the rest is all massively up in the air. Because what I'm trying to think about with my wild card is, obviously I'm thinking beyond Game Week 8. Obviously, we'll talk about Game Week 8 specific players in a second, but I'm trying to think about Game Week 8, hopefully a team that will look good for Game Week 9. Then we've got international break, and like you said, you could get people getting injured or coming out of form, or people getting into form, or people get exhausted, or they've got a long trip back from playing football on the other side of the world, and the manager says, yeah, he's still tired, he's not playing. And if it's a manager who tells the truth, he doesn't play. And if it's a manager who doesn't tell the truth, you still don't know what you're going to do. Yeah. So, yeah, a wild card is definitely on the card for me, and on the cards for lots of people, depending on how their team's looking. And it's going to be a case of biting the bullet and probably getting rid of some Liverpool players, probably getting rid of some Chelsea players and some Brighton players, and I'll be looking to bring in probably some Spurs players and some Newcastle players. So that's the headline.
You're all about to witness a monumental throwdown.
In terms of game week 8, have you got any player picks, 2 or 3 players, or just one even who people should be looking out for?
Well, I suppose when I look at game week 8, I think it's probably easier. The way I'm going to narrow it down is I'll grab a couple fixtures and I'll pick a couple of players from those fixtures.
Okay.
So I'm looking at the fixtures I'm looking at is Newcastle, Bournemouth.
Yeah.
I think that's a key fixture. I think Bournemouth couldn't score goals to Toffee like I just don't know. I think.
Well, I wouldn't be too certain about that, but go ahead.
I don't know. I think that's got a clean sheet written all over it. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm probably wrong, but I think it's got a clean sheet written all over it. I think players like Shaw, like Trippier, like you said earlier, I think they're key players in that fixture. I think Fulham, Nottingham Forest. I don't think I'm not sure if it's like a clean sheet, but because I think Nottingham Forest are deceptively dangerous going forward.
Yes.
But I think Mitrovic and Andreas Pereira, I think I would pick those, and then obviously my favourite boy Gibbs White.
Yeah.
But those are quite cheap picks if someone's wildcarding and they want to kind of keep the premiums but on the bench for future. You could probably get some returns from those 3 players if you wanted to like bulk up your team a little bit while still having like a threemium, as they say on Twitter. But
yeah.
Those are, I suppose, that's my top picks. I don't know. I'm steering clear of obviously. I mean, like Haaland and people like that, they're there, but I'm steering clear of players like that because I don't know. I think Haaland's undroppable personally.
Yeah.
I think we might see Pep Roulette get broken by the Norwegian champion. But so obviously he's a pick, but those are the few fixtures that I think are nailed on, and those are players that I think are nailed on pointers. Everywhere else just seems a bit up in the air. Like you just never know what's going to happen.
No.
But, what about you?
Well, first of all, I think you are right about Haaland because even though Man City are a good team, they're not perfect. And the fact is, sometimes it really doesn't look like they actually need him. And for all of Pep Guardiola's genius and a tactical know-how and all the rest of it, he's got a guy on the pitch who can score pretty much at any time. And that's what wins you games. It doesn't matter how many flipping books you've written on football.
Sure.
I know.
But that's another thing. Like that's another thing. He has incredibly low touches in the game. Like incredibly, he had 11 touches in the last game and scored 1 goal.
I know.
And then they asked him afterwards about. I don't know if you saw the post-match interview, but they asked him afterwards, like, "Are you concerned?" He said, "Look, if I get to a point in my life where I've touched the ball 5 times and I score 5 goals, that's the aim. Like I've reached my peak. That's what I want to do. I don't want to do too much. I just want to score goals." I was like, I respect it. So maybe because he's such a low touch player, you haven't got to worry about him like exerting himself because he's so tactical with his runs, and his runs are only over about 15 yards.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, I think that's a big part of it. And I actually read Zlatan Ibrahimovic's autobiography, and in it he said that he spoke to Marco van Basten and he said, "Well, what do I need to be a good striker?" And Marco van Basten said, "Just stop running. All right, it's not your job to run. It's not your job to track back and defend. They just need you to score goals. So you stay in the box and score goals. Yeah, that's all they need you. They need to know that when they cross the ball in, you're going to be there waiting. That's all you're there for. Yeah, so you just forget the other stuff because it's not your job." And I think Haaland, he's taken that down to a T, basically.
Yeah, and he's good at it. That's it.
Yeah,
the goal he scored
it's a natural. No, that was just filthy. I mean, I know. Anybody else might have, maybe tried to do a diving header or hit it with their right foot, but not him. He just literally threw his body forward like he was going down a water slide, and it still went in. Did you know what? The Dortmund defenders are still sitting there thinking, how the hell did we let that happen? They still don't know what happened. They need therapy. Anyway, yeah, my picks. Yeah, I think you pretty much covered it all. I would probably throw St. Maximin in there as a midfielder, because like quite a few players in this game, if Newcastle are going to do anything good, it's probably going to go through him. And then the only other person I would probably talk about is the man who seems to be on everybody's lips, Ivan Toney. Now, see, this is the thing. I'm not sure I'm convinced by him, and that could be a bit harsh. I think last season apparently he scored 14 goals. He is on penalties though, and
free kicks.
Sorry,
and free kicks.
Yeah, and free kicks. And the way I see Toney is the way I see Pukki. Yes, he's a striker who scores goals, but that's not necessarily enough to make him. I don't know. Look, I'm always happy to see someone like Toney do well, and he's in the England squad now, isn't he?
Yeah, he got the call up.
Yeah, he got the call up.
There were some dodgy call ups there. Mate. I don't know how the hell Harry Maguire's on.
Yeah, I have to say, I had some question marks about some of the people in the squad myself. I won't lie. But I mean, the thing is, he doesn't cost an awful lot of money in the game, which is always, I think, something that we like to see. But okay, here's the thing, yeah, and you can say I'm being mean or whatever. I don't care. Yeah, playing against Germany and Italy is not like playing against Leeds, for goodness sake. All right. You know, a team who, like last season, were fighting relegation, and the season before scored as many goals as they let in. Yeah. It's not. Do you know what? So sure, you can puff your chest out because you got a hat trick against Leeds, but what are you going to do when Bonucci or Chiellini or Donnarumma's standing between you and a goal? You know.
No, I appreciate what you're saying. I don't know. I think I have a similar what's the word? Opinion. I don't know. I like him. I think he's a good player. Like, yes. In terms of as a player, I think he's a good player. The way he took one of the goals against Leeds, it was sweet as like he took it around the keeper and chipped it. It was so beautiful. But I don't know. I mean, I would have him, but I don't. I think because for me it's between him, Mitrovic, and Isak.
Yeah.
That's it. Because or for me it's roll the dice and get rid of Jesus and then bring in one of those guys. But the issue with getting rid of Jesus is that if he does score and Toney doesn't score, I'm dropping. It's a red arrow, a solid one, because everyone else got Jesus.
Yeah. But I have a feeling. I have a feeling that might change. I think a lot of people are getting on Mitrovic. He's had a lot of transfers in, and I think his price has even gone up.
You're all about to witness a monumental throwdown.
Okay, super quick. I just want to say one thing about Solanke. Again, just like you said with me and Toney, generally speaking, you're right. With Bournemouth, it doesn't look like they're scoring goals. You never quite know what's going to happen, though, once they get rid of the manager and bring somebody else. Sometimes it changes things. What I would say about Solanke is that he's not going to be short of confidence. Well, I mean, his confidence may just be running out now, but I'm certain he's still carrying over that feeling of being good that he got from last year in the Championship, because he was a goal nutter in the Championship last season, and sometimes that you can carry that on, even though I always say the opposite all the time on this pod. Anyway, second, he's going to play 90 minutes, and third, he's on penalties. So it's like I said with St. Maximin, if Bournemouth are going to score, and they may be capable of doing that now that Scott Parker's gone, he's going to be involved. So again, and it's just because he's cheap. He's 5.7 million. So it's not all bad when it comes to Solanke. I mean, I may well get him in at some point, but even if I do, he's probably going to be on the bench most of the time. So there you go. There's some value to having that guy. All right, then.
I think that's a good shout, because the 5.7 million, what that does is it frees up. If you swap him, say, for Jesus, that'll free up two and a bit million for your midfielder, and that could give you 2 8 million midfielders.
That's right. Yeah,
which is insane to consider.
You got Zaha's an option, Maddison's an option, and even Gerard Bowen's an option. because, he may just discover last season's form and get back on it. Okay.
You're all about to witness a monumental throwdown.
I think that brings us to the end of the pod. Once again, I'm going to say it's all free. So if you want to hit that like button, do it, and do that subscribe button. Go on. Go right ahead. We don't mind. Thank you. And yeah, apart from that, hope everyone who's listening has gotten something out of the pod. And I just want to say, hope you have a good game week and green hours all round. And I'm going to say bye-bye.
Bye from me.